Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today, we're finna react to the greatest era in gaming, the sixth generation. Yes, that is right, ladies and gentlemen, the sixth generation. For those of you that don't know what the sixth generation was, that is the PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, PSP, OG Xbox, GameCube. Yeah, that era, the best era of gaming by far. It ain't even close, my nigga. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah, yeah. The good old. But
that's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
I don't know what's going on with this website that I've been using for the soundboard.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT. Really, nigga?
Okay, so anyways, though, yes, the best era of gaming. This is back when this is back when the games were actually finished, polished, and ready to go. This is back when companies gave a fuck. This is back when everybody was in their prime. Everybody was in their prime. Some people was making prime shit. Okay, let's not get it twisted. Some companies out here was making prime shit. They was making prime doo-doo games. They was in their bag though with that doo-doo though. And then there was some people who was just in their prime making some of the best shit we ever played, bro. I miss this generation. I wish this generation would. I wish that companies still had the mentality of this generation of trying to be the best. It's no longer about being the best. It's about how can we make more money. This is what happens when gaming goes corporate. Because of this era, because of the success of the PlayStation 2 gaming and the success of Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar, gaming went corporate. What is that? What do I mean by gaming went corporate? Private investors got involved. Wall Street got involved. Everybody's throwing money at these companies, but they expecting a return. If they don't get their return, they leave. And then these companies fall under. They get on bad times, i.e. Midway. This Midway was a prime example of goated company, goated games, but was just falling on hard times. THQ was another one, but somehow, some way, somebody bought them and invested back into their shit. So it is what it is. But hey man, I digress though, man. Hey, look, man. The word to gaming is today, it's just all corporate greed. It's what happens when the corporations get involved. When gaming goes corporate, everybody loses. When gaming was just gaming and developers were just going off of what they knew and going off their creativity and what they knew, this is why this is the best generation, hands down. I know a lot of people gonna say the 360 era. Y'all only talking about the experience with the online. You can't really say that because you're having fun with other people. Imagine having fun by yourself. Imagine playing these games by yourself at home, enjoying the fuck out of these. You got classics on top of classics. We talking Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, San Andreas, NBA Street Volume 2, the Def Jam series, Fight Night, Madden when it was, man, come on, man. NFL 2K, NBA 2K. Come on, man. WWE, the WWE SmackDown games, SmackDown versus Raw games, the Crash Bandicoot, the God of Wars, the man, come on, man. Y'all talking about the experience that you had with your friends. That's what I feel like the seventh generation. I feel like y'all losing the plot a little bit because y'all talking about the experience you had with your friends and other strangers online. We talking about just the games, not the people that you played them with, but the games. The games. That's what really matters. And that's why the 6th generation will always be the best, because of the games. Now, was there some bullshit in there? Yes, like I said, there was prime bullshit in this era as well. It was a lot of people just taking they crack dream ideas and throwing them at the wall. Some people was on that shit. They said, dog, we could make a game like this. And sometimes it might hit, sometimes it might fail. Some failed more than some succeeded. But hey, we got a lot out of this generation. The PlayStation 2 is forever the most goated console to ever fucking exist. This is back when they actually gave a fuck about video games and they actually gave you your money's worth instead of trying to milk you for everything. This is back when you had to actually play the game to unlock shit, not give us your money and we'll give you what you want. Oh, you want that Travis Scott skin for Fortnite? Guess what? You pay us. Give us about $10. We'll let you have it. give us about $10. We'll let you have it. You know what I'm saying? It's shit like that, man. This is why this is the most goated era, bro. Because you had to actually play the game to unlock the game. Some shit you had to have the cheat codes for. See, y'all ain't know about that shit. Some of y'all don't even know about cheat codes. Because they don't do that shit no more. They don't even do cheat codes no more. They don't even put fun and interesting things in the game. Everything's behind a paywall now. And that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest issue with games today. And that's what's going to hurt it. And I'm telling you, in about 3 years from now, the gaming industry is going to have its second bubble. It's going to have a second bubble burst, man. It's gonna have a bubble burst again where the gaming stock market is just gonna crash. Nobody's gonna want to play games no more. Everybody's gonna be doing something else. I guarantee you. 3 to 4 years from now, I guarantee you, video games will not be accepted no more. Because the bullshit, the constant bullshit that they keep pushing out, it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse, bro. These companies do not care no more. Like I said, this is what happens when the corporations get involved. This is what happens when private investors get involved. But hey, it is what it is, though. Anyways, though, without further ado, let's get right into the video.
Before your phone could play games that look better than a PS2 title, before gaming meant microtransactions, there was a simpler time. A glorious time in gaming history, the 6th generation of gaming. I know I sound like an old guy right now, but this is true. Video games used to be so much simpler and easier to enjoy. I feel like the 6th generation was the peak of what video games were supposed to be. I'm not saying that I don't enjoy the newer generation of gaming. I still enjoy playing video games and it will always be my favorite hobby. And I understand that things have to evolve. But there's just something about the 6th generation of gaming that always takes me back to it, and for a multitude of reasons that I want to discuss in this video. The main reason being the games that these consoles have to offer. The 6th generation of gaming is the most important generation of gaming in my opinion. This generation introduced us to 4 of the best and important gaming consoles of all time. The Dreamcast, the PlayStation 2, the GameCube, and the Xbox. This was at a time when gaming was becoming mainstream, but was still niche in a way. In this video, I will tell you why I think this generation will never be topped and why I think it's the best generation of gaming of all time. I want to talk about every single console in this video, so it's going to be a long one. So go grab yourself a drink, some food, a blunt, anything you need, sit back and enjoy the video. Before we start, I would really appreciate it if you guys liked the video and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. And so yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
One of the best way to start, what a way to start off the 6th generation though, with the Dreamcast. I think it was just more, in my personal opinion, I didn't really play a lot of games on the Dreamcast. I didn't play all those Japanese, Chinese games that was on the Dreamcast. I didn't play all those. You know, the only games I think I would say I played for that was like fucking what, like Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive is the only game I think I've ever played that was like a Japanese Chinese made game, I believe. That was the only game I think I ever played on the Dreamcast. Other than that, the other games that they talk about that are goated on this console, I wouldn't know nothing about. The only thing I ever played on the Dreamcast was Sonic, Spider-Man, all the sports games, all the 2Ks, and Ready to Rumble. Let's Get Ready to Rumble boxing. Oh man, take me back, bro. Good times. Dreamcast was a great way to start off, but that PlayStation 2 though.
In the early to mid 90s, Sega was riding high on the success of the Sega Genesis and was at the top of the gaming industry with Nintendo. However, their next console, the Sega CD, 32X, and Sega Saturn, suffered from poor marketing, sales, rushed launches, and limited third-party support. The Sega Saturn in particular launched prematurely in North America in 1995. Although the Sega Saturn found some success in Japan, its complex architecture made it difficult to develop for. It could not compete with Nintendo and Sony in the West, with Sega only having 12% of the market compared to Sony's 47% and Nintendo's 40%. By the late 90s, Sega's reputation was damaged. Sega then decided to create a powerful but cheaper next generation to bring Sega back to the top of the gaming industry. Sega then decided to come back to the gaming industry with the Sega Dreamcast. They decided to use GD-ROM discs instead of the new DVD-ROM format at the time to save money and combat piracy, which backfired on them. It also uses a custom version of Windows called Windows CE, which is why you can find compatible with Windows CE in front of every Dreamcast console, and which is why porting PC games on the Dreamcast was easier. This is also one of the first consoles with internet functionalities with a 56K modular modem, which was unheard of at the time. Out of all the 6th generation consoles, it was the first one to drop. It launched on November 27th, 1998 in Japan, and it sold out by the end of the day. The Dreamcast only came out with 4 launch titles, which slowed down the sales. The launch was way better in the US. It released on September 9th, 1999, and sold 1 million units in 2 months, with 18 launch titles. The Dreamcast ended up being crushed by the PS2 when it came out.
Play the music. The greatest, and I mean the greatest console to ever fucking exist. None like it, none better. I don't think nothing has passed. I don't think nothing will ever come close to what the PlayStation 2 offered. This is the best console to ever fucking exist. The GameCube, I mean not the GameCube, but the OG Xbox had a lot of potential, but that controller was just ass, bro. That was the biggest problem with the OG Xbox Pros, that controller. A lot of us PlayStation niggas, we wasn't fucking with that controller, bro. That controller, that Duke or whatever the fuck y'all call that shit for the OG Xbox, that controller was trash. Garbage, straight doo-doo, straight trash. Throw that shit in the garbage, bro.
What kind of shit is that?
That's that shit I don't like.
But this right here, perfect console, perfect controller, perfect console. The greatest library of games. None like it. None ever came close to it. I mean, I think some title. I think some consoles can match it in sales, but the sales ain't gonna really explain. The sales don't mean nothing to the significance, bro. You just had to be there, bro. If you wasn't there for the experience of the PlayStation 2, you missed out. That's all I'm gonna say. You missed out. This right here was the greatest fucking console to ever fucking exist. It wasn't even close. You could talk about the OG Xbox having better graphics. You could talk about Nintendo and they first party you could talk about Nintendo and their exclusives all you want to. None of that shit matters. Like I said, if you were here during the PlayStation 2 era, you know. If you wasn't here, shut your ass up. Cause you don't know what you're talking about. But anyways, though, let's get back right into this.
After the success of the original PlayStation in the mid-90s, Sony had become a dominant force in the gaming world. The original PlayStation sold over 100 million units worldwide and had reshaped the home console market. The PS2 development started in 1994 after the launch of the original PlayStation to stay ahead of the curve. They wanted a new console that would play the old generation and the new generation of games. Sony also decided to introduce new technology in the system, which would be DVD-ROM drives, which would allow users to watch DVDs. It would also have games in DVD formats, which would increase the amount of space for games on the disc, which would be good for graphics. Sony, just like Sega, decided to implement internet capabilities on the console with a 56K modular modem and have a hard drive with games that would support it. The games were easy to make, and the console was cheaper than an actual DVD player, which was a big deal at the time. Some people would get the PS2 just to watch DVDs and have a gaming console at the same time. The PS2 was so successful.
Facts. I used to hate when my mama take my PS2, bro. She'd take my PS2 at night, bro. That's the shit that pissed me off. She didn't even have the decency to ask me for it. I understand I'm living under your roof, but you didn't even pay for it, bro. Come on, dog. You didn't even pay for that PlayStation to be taking my shit from me, dog. Come on, dog. You didn't even have the decency to ask me. You didn't even buy it for me. Nigga, your daddy bought it for me. Nigga, what the fuck you taking my PlayStation for? He bought that for me. The fuck? I don't give a fuck if I am under your house. You don't tell me, you don't dictate to me and tell me, I could take your PlayStation whenever I want to. You don't pay no bills up in here. So it's mine. The fuck? The fuck is my PlayStation? Shit. Maybe I want to wake up in the morning and play my shit instead of finding my PlayStation in your fucking room because you want to watch weak ass DVDs. Fuck you buying DVDs for and you ain't got no DVD player. They want to use my shit. Used to hate that shit, man. Well, I was so happy when DVD players went down to like $30. When DVDs went down to $50, I was so happy, man. My mama finally got her one. My mama finally got her a DVD. and my grandma bought it for her. Ain't that some shit? Grandma bought it for her. Them shits went down on sale. My grandma bought one for her. I was like, thank you. Finally, shit. She can stop taking my shit. Jesus Christ. Give my goddamn PlayStation back. Now you got your DVD player. Leave me alone.
Successful that it had a lifespan of 13 years, which lasted from 2000 to 2013. The last game released on the PS2 was PES 2014. The PS2 sold over 155 million units around the world, which makes the PlayStation 2 the most sold video game console of all time. For Sega and the Dreamcast, the PS2 was the final blow. But for the gaming world, it opened the door to bigger worlds, deeper stories, and bolder ideas. Even today, its impact is seen in how we play, what we play, and what we expect from a gaming experience. The PS2 dropped on March 4th, 2001 in Japan, October 26th in North America, and November 24th in Europe. The launch was very successful, with 1.4 million units sold by the end of March in Japan.
I ain't gonna lie to you. This is the second best. It's controversial, but this is the second best console of this generation. I'm just saying. Second best of this generation. I'm just saying, bro. Them Nintendo exclusives, bro. It was the Nintendo exclusives that you would get with this, bro. And then on top of that, I've told the story so many times of how I got the GameCube, but for those of y'all who are new to the channel, when I got my GameCube was when my PlayStation 2 fan decided to die. And my PlayStation 2 fan decided to die. That was it, bro. It was over. It was over after that, bro. So then I told my mom, I was like, "Mama, my PlayStation ain't working no more. They talking about the fan or something. It broke." She was like, let's go to the store, see if we can get it fixed." Normally you go to GameStop or Best Buy, they normally fix it for you. They was talking about, for a fan fix, they was talking about $200. She was like, "I ain't paying $200 for that." I was like, "Well, how much for a new one? How much for a used one then? Use a refurbished one. How much for a used or refurbished PlayStation 2? Nope. This is like 2005. So the PS3 is on its way. And the Xbox 360 is already out. So I'm like, how much for a used one? They talking about 120 for a used PlayStation 2. I looked at my mama. She said, "I ain't paying for that shit. I ain't paying no $120. I ain't paying that shit. The fuck y'all look like?" I'm like, damn. So I started looking around. I started looking at the Xbox. The Xbox was even more. The Xbox cost even more. The Xbox was like 140. They was talking about 140 for a used Xbox. A console that's already outdated because the new one is out. Come on, bro. You mean tell me an Xbox was 140 for an Xbox? Tripping. Then I saw that GameCube. Wanna know how much that bitch said? They said that GameCube brand new, not used, not refurbished, but brand new, a brand new GameCube.
$40.
$40. Yes, $40. GameCube only cost $40. Nigga. I said, "Well, what about that GameCube? What about that GameCube?" She was like, $40. She's like, "Sir, is that the correct price? $40? So it's like, "Yes, ma'am, that's the correct price. $40 for a GameCube." I looked at her. She said, "You can get it, and you can get like 3 games with it too. I'm only spending, and you're gonna get enough games up to $100. I'm only paying $100. I ain't paying no more than $100." I said, "Shit, that's all you had to say." Shit, nigga, I bought all type of little $5, $10 games. Boy, I had a whole stack of games. Boy, what we talking about here? Had me a good little stack of games, boy, for $5, $10 games, bro. For a GameCube, nigga. Set myself up perfectly, dog, for real.
The GameCube development started in 1997 after the release of the Nintendo 64. It was officially announced on August 25th, 2000. It was released on September 14, 2001 in Japan and November 18 in North America. Compared to the PlayStation 2, the GameCube only sold 22 million units during its lifetime. It is currently Nintendo's 3rd worst selling console. Nintendo made a bold decision with the GameCube's design. It was small, cube-shaped, and came with a carrying handle, a quirky but intentional choice to emphasize its portability and family-friendly image. That reason alone is one of the main reasons for the poor sales. The other main reason was because the GameCube didn't use DVDs, which was a big deal at the time, while the PS2 and Xbox did. The GameCube used smaller discs, which were mini DVDs, which meant that there was less space on them for games. A GameCube disc could only store 1.5 gigabytes, while the PS2 single layer disc could hold up to 4.7 gigabytes, and a double layer disc could hold up to 8.5 gigabytes. This meant that developers had to alter GameCube version of games so that it could fit on a disc. The GameCube also supported online play, but it was severely underused. Only a handful of games supported online play, like the Phantasy Star Online series. However, Nintendo began experimenting connectivity between handheld and console, allowing players to link the Game Boy Advance for use of a second screen, or a controller in games like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles or The Legend of Zelda: Four Swords Adventures. The GameCube also has one of the most iconic controllers of all time, and people still use it to this day. You can buy one right now, officially made by Nintendo. It was also $100 cheaper than the PS2 and the Xbox at launch. Even though the GameCube wasn't appreciated when it first came out, it is one of the most beloved consoles and one of the most popular to collect for.
Alright. So the Xbox, I don't have a real good, I don't really have a long, I have a brief history with owning a OG Xbox. My cousin, he had got the Xbox 360 when it first came out, and he was like, man, you can't even play your Xbox games on this. You need to be hooked up to Xbox Live or something like that. Talking about you need some extra stuff to play your old Xbox games. You know what? If you want it, you could have it, bruh. Nigga gave me the Xbox. I took that Xbox home. I ain't even think twice about it. That nigga had a good ass collection of games. Nigga, Star Wars games, sports games, fighting games. That nigga had damn near everything. My cousin was spoiled because, you know, my auntie and them hit the lotto for about 800 bands. You know what I'm saying? My auntie and them hit the lotto for about 800 bands. So my cousin, you know what I'm saying, he was little spoiled, you know what I'm saying, but he ain't tripping about it. You know, money wasn't a thing to them, you know what I'm saying. So with my cousin, them, you know what I'm saying, my cousin, he gave me his Xbox. I only had it for like 3 months, bro. I only had the shit for 3 months before he begged me to get it back, bro, for some odd reason. For some odd reason, he wanted it back so bad, bro. I was like, bro, you gave it to me, bro. Like, what you mean you want it back? Like, let me have that, bro. I'm having fun with it. So, yeah, I know, but I need it, bro. I need it. I'm like, what you need it for? Bro, I just need it, bro. I just need it back. I was like, come on, bro. I'm having fun with it, bro. You said I could have it, bro. What's going on, bro? He's like, bro, I just need that back, bro. For real. Then he told his mama, and then his mama called him my mama. On some whole shit, nigga. I ain't talked to that nigga since, bro. I ain't talked to that nigga since, bro. Me and that nigga have not been on good terms since. I gave that nigga act like a hoe, bro. You gave it to me, bro. You gonna get mad, bro. Let me have it. I'm having fun with this motherfucker, man. I was having fun with it, bro. I was playing all the games with it, bro. This bitch ass nigga gonna call me talking about something. I need that back, bro. I need that back. What you mean? No, it's mine. You gave it to me, bro.
Stop it. Get some help.
Come on, bro. I'm like, hey, how you gonna give me something and say I can't have it, bro? Come on, dog. Nigga said, I need that, bro. I need it. Called his mama and them on me and shit. Oh, snitch ass nigga.
If we go to prison for the rest of our life, whoop-de-doo.
I'm like, bro, this some bullshit, bro.
What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?
I was mad as hell, bro. This nigga done fucked around and took that shit from me, bro. I was having fun with that shit, man. I put my little music on there and shit, man. I was playing around that shit, man. Took that shit away from me, man. I was heated, dog. I ain't talked to that nigga since, man. I don't care. Last time I checked, that nigga got like 4 baby mamas, bro. Nigga got 4 baby mamas, bro. Hope he doing good in life. But I'm still mad at you, nigga.
If we go to prison for the rest of our life, whoop-dee-doo.
What the fuck was that?
But anyways, though, back to the video.
When Microsoft entered the console market in the early 2000s, it was an untested giant in a territory dominated by Japanese companies. The arrival of the Xbox in 2001 would reshape the gaming industry and reshape Sega's legacy. A lot of people forget this, but Microsoft and Sega had a very close relationship. After the Dreamcast failed, many of its top titles and developers moved to Xbox. Games like Jet Set Radio Future and Shenmue found a home on the Xbox. In 2002, Microsoft bought Rare, which was a big deal at the time. They made classic games like Donkey Kong Country, GoldenEye 007, Banjo-Kazooie, and the list goes on. And that is why there's a remake of Conker's Bad Fur Day on the Xbox. The Xbox began as an internal Skunkworks project at Microsoft in the late 90s. A group of engineers wanted to leverage the company's DirectX graphics API, hence the name DirectX Xbox. They wanted to create a Windows-based console that could challenge Sony's growing dominance with the PlayStation 2. But Bill Gates wasn't initially sold by the idea. But by 1999, Microsoft saw the PlayStation 2 as a serious threat, not just to gaming, but as a potential all-in-one entertainment hub that could rival the PC. And that got Microsoft on board. They also decided to put a lot of emphasis on Xbox Live. The Xbox was the most powerful console of the 6th generation, and it was the only console that came with a hard drive. That meant you didn't need memory cards for saving games, which was crazy at the time. This was the first real online gaming network on consoles that actually worked. Xbox Live launched in 2002 and allowed players to play games online with friends, use voice chat, and maintain a universal gamertag across games. Features that are now standards in video games. The original Xbox was a success, and it sold more than a GameCube. The Xbox entered the 6th generation as the newcomer, but its power, online focus, and bold vision ensured Microsoft would become a lasting force in the gaming industry.
That shit did not last. That shit lasted 2 consoles, and then after that, they fucked. Oh, they fucked their whole reputation up. And one bad marketing decision for a new console. Shame what happened to Flip.
If we go to prison for the rest of our life, whoop-dee-doo.
The main and obvious reason I think the 6th generation of gaming was the best is because of the games. Plain and simple. And I'm not just talking about one console or a few standout titles. It's across the board. PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, and even the Dreamcast. The games were amazing. What really stood out back then was that developers seemed to have one clear goal in mind: make games fun and not monetized to death. Just fun. You could walk into a game store and pick up a random game that you've never heard of before and be blown away. There was this sense of discovery and joy that is hard to replicate today. And it wasn't just the big games. Sure, there were plenty of AAA bangers, but even AA titles were surprisingly good. You could buy them affordably and they felt like complete polished experiences. Not every game was a masterpiece, of course, but even the bad ones often had heart. You could tell that developers poured effort and creativity into their work. There was pride in making something memorable. This is not meant to be a games back then versus now rant, but let's be honest. How many times have you opened Steam or turned on your console just to stare at your library, not knowing what to play? It's ironic. We have more games available than ever, and yet, it often feels like there's less. Back in the 6th generation, each platform had amazing first-party exclusives. Just to name a few, on the PS2, we had God of War and Shadow of the Colossus. On Xbox, we had Halo and Fable. On the GameCube, we had games like Metroid Prime and Wind Waker. And for the Dreamcast, we had Jet Set Radio and Skies of Arcadia. And these are just a few first-party titles that came out during that time. There are so many more first-party titles that came out that were amazing. Even if you look beyond the blockbusters, there were incredible AA games like Beautiful Joe, Def Jam Fight for New York, Sphinx, and Onimusha. And like mentioned before, the focus wasn't squeezing every penny out of us. Sure, it was a business, and devs wanted to make money, but it didn't feel like we were constantly being milked. The games came complete. No day one patches, no DLC planned before launch. You paid for the game, and that was it. It was just you and the full experience from the moment you put the disc in. There were no microtransactions. If you wanted better gear, costumes, or unlockables, you had to earn them. These days, even single-player games have microtransactions, which make no sense at all. For example, this is how I remember Super Smash Bros. You didn't start with every character, but you had to grind, work, and get better at the game if you wanted to unlock all of them. Now, you can still unlock the majority of the characters by playing the game, but certain characters are locked behind a paywall, which sucks. That means spending more money on the game that you already paid for. And not only were there no DLCs, but Game just had more content and more stuff that felt worth the grinding for. Unlocking characters, maps, skins, and even cheat codes. It was all in the game. You just had to play. Back then, gosh, I sound like an old guy right now.
Now, back then, they never had DLCs. What they had was collector edition, greatest editions. And this is the craziest thing about those games. If PlayStation or Xbox or even GameCube, if they put out a greatest hits collection of a game, that game was cheaper than it was when it was out on retail. So if that game could have been around for like 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 months could have passed. It's already in the greatest hits collection. So I'll give y'all an example. Like, okay, so Def Jam Fight for New York. It was $50 at launch. It was $50 when it first came out. I want to say around Christmas time. I forgot when that game came out. I think that game came out during the summertime of 2004. And then around like Christmas time, that shit was already a greatest hits. And guess what? Them greatest hits cost less. Them greatest hits was only like $20. So they literally would take off $20 for a game that was a greatest hits collection, which would be like an upgraded version of the game. Like if there was a bug or if there was a patch that needed, or if they wanted to add more to it, they would put it in that greatest hits collection or that collector's edition of the game, which would be like $30 less than what it originally was. So you'd be paying $20 and getting more content. This is why this is the greatest generation. Y'all think is, like I said, y'all 7th generation niggas, y'all Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 niggas, you banking on the memories with your friends. We talking about the games. We not talking about the same thing, bro. We not. Y'all don't understand how good it was back then, my nigga. Imagine a collector's edition of a game coming out and it's $30 less than what you paid for the original when it first came out. And you getting more content added to it. So you getting all the bonus content that you probably would have had to get if you had like a special edition, if you had bought like the special edition that came out, because there'll always be like a special edition. They'd be like, there's this edition, then there's the special edition, then there's the collector's edition, and then there's the greatest hits edition or the collector's edition, and that should be like $20. Should be like $20, and then they give you everything for $20. You couldn't, bro. Don't ever tell me that the 6th generation was not the best generation, bro. This is when they actually cared. This is when the corporations weren't involved. The corporations didn't get involved until the 7th generation. That's really where all the bullshit started, right then and there. Fuck is y'all talking about, bro? It's the 6th generation. It's not close, bro. Stop it, bro. Y'all, like I said, you had to be there to understand the experience, to understand why most of us who grew up with the PlayStation 2, OG Xbox and GameCube and Dreamcast and PSP, you have to understand why that is the greatest generation to ever fucking exist. You had to be there. If you didn't experience it, you have no right to talk about it. I'm telling you, bro. You cannot talk about a generation that you wasn't a part of. I can't talk about the 5th generation because I didn't really grow. I was born in that generation, but I didn't understand that generation. I barely understood video games as is when I was a kid. All I did was press the buttons and the character on the screen would do something. That's all I knew. Once I started to understand games and how to play them and stuff like that, then yeah. So yeah, bro, like the 6th generation, I would consider that my generation for my generation. The 5th generation was my introduction. The 6th generation is that generation I identify where I became a gamer. So understand, for those of us that came up in the 6th generation, we know how good it was, bro. We know exactly how good it was. For those of y'all that came up in the 7th generation, that's why y'all so used to the bullshit that go on right now, because y'all never had it this good. That's why a lot of us that come from that PlayStation 2 generation, that's why we speak on video games a lot different from y'all, bro. Y'all don't understand it, bro. Y'all don't understand how good it was back then, bro. Y'all don't understand when they gave a fuck, bro. Y'all don't understand when the corporations, when private investors and corporations weren't involved with video games like that. There would be a couple of fucking endorsement deals hidden in the games. Like you see a McDonald's or a Burger King or a Sprite or a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi in the game, but nothing too major. You know what I'm saying? You might see a Jordan, a Nike, some Adidas or something like that in there. Nothing major though. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, though. It is what it is, my guy. What generation you came up in, that's your generation. Just don't shit on ours. That's all I ask. Don't shit on our generation.
But back then, we actually got the value of what we paid for. Games came complete. And here's another thing. There's a lot of games that came out during that time that are being remastered for the newer consoles, which proves how much these games were powerful. People still want to play those games on the recent consoles, and there is a new generation of gamers that never played those games before. Here's a few games that have been remastered in the last few years. Shadow of Colossus, Resident Evil 4, GTA Trilogy, or the recently released Metal Gear Solid Delta. The games of the 6th generation are very lucrative for gaming companies, and that shows how much those games were good and important. Also, let's not forget about the Nintendo Switch 2 subscription, which allows you to play GameCube games. And here's another thing. I feel like developers lost creative freedom. During that time, developers were constantly experimenting. For example, you had games like Katamari Damacy. In that game, you control a tiny print who rolls a magical adhesive ball around various environments, collect an object that sticks to it to make it grow larger. I feel like today, only indie devs would take that kind of risk. A lot of games had flavor and personality. It wasn't all about a cheap open world game or having a battle royale mode. Games in the 6th generation had a strong sense of identity. Art styles were bold and varied. Some aimed for realism, like Metal Gear Solid 2, while others leaned into more cartoonish visuals, like The Wind Waker. There wasn't this obsession with hyper-realism or greedy tones that we see today. Devs were not afraid to take risks visually, which made even smaller games stand out and feel fresh. You did not need a 4K display to feel blown away. And lastly, let's not forget about the presentation. When you bought a game, it wasn't just a disc, it was an experience. You had detailed manuals, cool box art, and even sometimes posters. Opening a new game felt like opening a gift. It was part of the experience. It's a small thing, but it really added to the magic. Today, buying a game often means clicking a button and watching a download bar. I know people play digital games now, including me, but I just miss the feeling of going into a game store and buying a new game. Then you'd bring that game home, tear off the plastic, crack open the box, and boom. The sound of the PlayStation 2 boot up, or the Xbox, or the GameCube or Dreamcast, it all added to the magic. You weren't just starting a game, you were stepping into something magical. There was just something special about it, and I honestly miss it. And this brings me to my next point. Nostalgia. Listen, let's be honest. A big part of why the 6th generation hits so hard to me is because of the memories tied to it. It's not all about the specs, the games, or even the manuals. It's about what it all meant at the time. For a lot of us, these consoles were part of our childhood or teenage years. It takes me back to late night with my brothers, cheat codes written on paper, renting games, or 7-Up allowance just to buy that one title that you could not stop thinking about. You remember exactly what it felt when you booted up a game for the first time. The music, the graphics, even the loading screens. Those moments are burned into our memories. They're more than just games. They're snapshots of a time when life was simpler and games felt magical. That's the thing about nostalgia. It's not just remembering the past, it's feeling it. And every time I pick up a controller from that era or hear that PS2 or GameCube startup sound, it hits me. It takes me back to a time where the only thing that mattered was beating that game. And look, listen, I know that nostalgia should not be a factor on why something is better than the other thing. But with certain things like music and video games and media in general, the memories tied to it are so important to us that it's hard not to bring it up. And so that's why I think, it should not be a factor, but it is at the end of the day. So yeah, that was pretty much it. That's why I think, in my opinion, the 6th generation of gaming was the best. And look, I know games have to evolve, and I'm not saying that I'm not playing the newer games. I'm always gonna play video games forever, but I don't know, I just miss, the 6th generation. Anyway, that's gonna wrap up this video for today. If you stuck around this long, thank you, seriously. And get in the comments, I'd love to hear what you think. Was it your favorite generation? What was your favorite generation of gaming? And
Alrighty, man, it's just gonna about do it for this one. Yeah, man, like I said, man, this is the best generation hands down. I know some people might probably say the 5th generation. Y'all just don't know how good the 5th. Like I said, I didn't really experience the 5th generation like that. So maybe the 5th generation is good. Maybe the 4th generation is good. The 3rd and 2nd and 1st generation, y'all can miss me with them. Them shit's garbage. Be real, them shit's garbage. Be real. Probably the 4th generation, the 5th generation is probably a little bit better, but that 6th generation, man, never be another one like it, bro. Never be another one like it. It could be, but the industry itself will have to reset itself to even go back to that, to where developers can have the creativity and freedom to make the games that they want to make without the corporations and the private investors getting involved, because everybody feel like they got to make money. If you want to make money, stop making the same fucking game. Stop playing it safe and making the same fucking game. Let people be fucking creative, because that's what made video games so fun, bro. I hate when they take away from I hate when they take away from the creativity that people I hate when the creativity is taken away from the creator. When the creativity is taken away from the creator, what do you have? All right then. But anyway, so that's just gonna about do it for this one. I'll see you on the next video. Till then, deuces.